The president a mash up the resident. The president a mash up the resident.
I've seen you tapping away there.
Well, I got a rhythm going through me.
That's it, why not? So, on that note, I read, correct me if I'm wrong, that your first performance was when you was 11 in a church.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I may have been younger than 11, but yeah. yeah.
Maybe it's wrong, but how did that come about? How did...
I always loved performing poetry. I used to do it in the playground and... do you remember a game called Kiss Chase?
Yes, I do.
You still playing that?
No.
What are you blushing for?
No, just no.
Well, that was very popular when I was young, right?
Okay.
And I always thought it was always hard work, you know what I mean? Like, you have to run and hide, and if somebody gets you, you get a kiss. So I used to just go up to girls and say, well, if I write a poem about you, will you give me a kiss? So she would say her name was whatever, and then I would just make up a poem and then just get a kiss.
Wow.
But I didn't even call it poetry, I was playing with words. And then, one day, we was at church, and my mum said, my son's going to say something, and I just got up and read a poem.
Wow.
Yeah, so that, I'm not sure if it's public, but kind of my first public performance.
Okay.
And then it was like, you know, community centres, kind of like the one we're in.
Mm.
You know, these little places around Birmingham I started performing.
Yeah.
And the venues got bigger and bigger.
Okay. At that time, was there a particular audience you were trying to get to, or...?
Well, actually, when I started, it was just black and mainly Rasta, not even the wider black community.
Okay.
And I remember, I mean, as young Rastas, we used to call non-Rastas Barleds, right?
Yeah.
And I remember somebody saying to me, you know, you must perform this stuff for some Barled man. so I went out and performed it for some, inverted commas, Barled man. And then I can remember somebody saying one day, said, this is not just for black people, man. Everybody can hear this, you know?
Yeah.
And then I remember going into London and performing for I remember it was a group of, the first kind of mixed, and I say mixed, it was mainly white people I played for, with a group of Irish people.
Okay.
You know, and I performed for them. And funny enough, I had a poem about the troubles in Northern Ireland, and I performed it, and they just went crazy. I don't think they'd heard a black man speaking like that about their troubles, you know. But I'd lost 2 friends in the Birmingham pub bombings. The 1976, I think it was.
Okay.
So it was an issue very close to my heart. So yeah, you know, it started with the Rasta community, went to the wider black community, and then just kind of spread out.
Okay. So was you into the whole kind of way of life with Rasta from a very young age, or later on?
Well, I started listening, taking in the words properly to Big Youth and artists like that when I was about 12. And then I started to grow my dreadlocks at 13 when I left school, and never trimmed or anything since. So, and I took it very seriously. In Birmingham, we used to have a place called the House of Dread, and it was like 3 houses knocked together, so it became a kind of commune, and we just share everything, you know. We didn't have cars, we had bicycles, and we tried as much as possible not to use money. I mean, we had to sometimes, but as little money as possible.
Yeah.
We shared, I mean, I didn't have children, but some of them did. We shared their childcare, cooking, you know, very communal kind of thing.
Yeah.
I told of it. So I tried that. It was all right for a time. And then I never actually got involved in any of the kind of church or the kind of official organisations of Rastafari. A lot of them invited me too, and they would have liked it, of course, being an outspoken poet. But I always said that I want to stay independent, and I was always more of a revolutionary Rasta than a religious one.
Okay.
You know, so I read, you know, the philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey at an early age, and I read it as a serious political, cultural, you know, argument. And I read My Life and Ethiopia's Progress by Haile Selassie. Yeah. And I read the teachings of people like Angela Davis and Malcolm X and all that at a very early age. So I was very politically aware of the world around me and what was going on.
Okay.
When I was young, there was a thing called the Biafran War,
Okay.
which was a place in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And I remember that was like civil war within Nigeria, but I remember all the pictures of starving children, and that was, that really had an effect on me. I mean, a lot of people now, maybe of your generation, may remember kind of Ethiopia famine and things like that.
Yeah.
But when I was young, it was the Biafran famine that everybody was talking about. So all those things made me want to speak politically, and I always felt quite revolutionary. I always said, well, I'm not going back to Africa to sit down and just kind of smoke a pipe and just say peace and love. If we're going back to Africa, I want to build it and change it politically.
Yeah.
And as I got older, I realised that I don't have to be in Africa to do that. In fact, I can have more of an effect on Africa out here.
Yeah, outside.
Yeah. So, but I love going back to the Caribbean and I love going back to Africa. And recently, I spend most of my time in China and a lot of time in Vietnam and places like that, because I want to know the world.
Yeah.
Haile Selassie, as much as people wear red, gold and green and all that stuff, he always said he was an internationalist.
Yeah.
And I always see myself as an internationalist, The whole world is Africa. We all started in Africa, so we must care about everybody all over the world.
Definitely. So, as you say, you've travelled a lot. What is it, do you think, is either key... What do you think we have in common, I suppose I could say?
Well, the very basics.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to a parent in India and ask them what they want, they will say, I want a decent school for my children. I want to be able to buy food that's not poisoned and clean. I want to wake up in the morning and not be fear that the government, put soldiers on the street. I want to be able to earn a living, all the very basic things. That's what most people want. I mean, I've done that. I'm one of the few people you will ever meet, certainly for the next 20, 30 years, unless things change drastically, that's been to North Korea.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I've talked to people in North Korea, and most people think North Korea is like a closed-off place you can't go to and all that stuff. I've been there. When I was young, when Russia was a strange place, I went to Russia. I've been to Cuba, I've been to all these places we shouldn't go to because they're our enemy. And I go there and talk to the people. And when I talk to the people, I find that they're just like us.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Russia many years ago when we used to talk about the queues.
Okay.
And in Russia it was the bread queues.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this woman, I'd call her a housewife, and I was talking to her about her bread queues. And she went into the room and pulled out a picture into her kitchen, came back with a picture of a long queue. And I said, look, you see, bread queue. And she went, no, this is a picture from England. This is a dole queue.
Oh. Yeah.
And they didn't have dole queues in Russia.
Oh, wow.
So, they see what we have and we see what they have, and we can compare and contrast. But one thing that I have learnt about all people around the world, and this answers your question, is that you go to any country and you will see politicians claiming to represent the people. And when you talk to the people, almost everybody will say they're unrepresented. That's what we have in common.
Okay.
We are different from those that create the system, and on the whole we just want to live in peace. And another thing that brings us together, which is the business that you're in, is one thing that every human being does, every culture, music.
Music, yeah.
That's the thing that brings us together.
Definitely.
And some sex. But that's not what we're talking about now, is it?
Wow, people, wow. He went there, people, he went there. Okay, so, quickly change that note. So on that note...
Is that really bad on this programme?
No, that's not bad.
Oh, right.
That's not bad, that's all good. So,
It's natural.
everybody does it, don't they?
You blush so much.
I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting that. So, wow, that's my train of thought there. So, on that note, when you're saying that we're misrepresented in all these different countries, why, for me, it seems that a lot of people are afraid to speak out. Obviously, we have the odd few that do speak out, but the ones that I've spoke to recently in my own community seem that we're not going to speak out, we're going to keep it to ourselves, but not share it with anybody else. Why do you think that is?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, you must remember there are some countries that speaking out gives you, you get killed. you know.
Definitely.
And there's been a couple of countries recently that have taken my website down and
Okay.
stopped my books from circulating. But even on this level, you know, I watched a program the other day, and it was like one of these programs where they follow the police around,
Okay.
and they raided this house, and they were raiding him for something to do with immigration, but they saw a video about Islam, and then they stopped and they called the anti-terrorism people, and they said, oh, we called it anti-terrorist people because he had this video about Islam.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the video and went, I've got that video. I got it from W.H. Smith.
Wow.
You know, just a video about
Yeah.
Islam. And I thought,
Okay.
wow, for that video you can be classed as a terrorist? I mean, you can say certain things now
Yeah.
and you can be on their watch list.
Wow.
I could say certain things about Islam and just say, well, you know, maybe, I can't think of anything right now, and even I hesitate to say something just in case it's taken the wrong way. But it can be seen as, oh, you know, a bit radical.
Mm.
Even when we were younger, actually, you know, a lot of what some Muslims are going through now, and I must say it wasn't as bad, but a lot of the things that Rasta was saying, we were getting locked up for,
Yeah.
you know? And especially in some of the places in the Caribbean, you must remember in Barbados and some other places, they were holding Rastas down and trimming their hair.
Yeah. I've seen
You
a
know?
documentary on that.
Yeah, yeah. But I remember in a police station in Birmingham,
Mm.
a policeman took me into a room and it just had a wall, and on the wall there was pins, dreadlocks and hats, and the police officer could name all the people's scalps that he'd had. This was in a police station,
Yeah.
in a room, and they were proud of it. So people will be afraid of speaking out for all different reasons. If I'm too militant, will I keep my job? Will I get a job?
Yeah.
You know, there's this thing called, I forget what it's called now, but it's where the police getting teachers, well not the police, I should beg pardon, the government, getting teachers and university lecturers to watch students to see if there's any,
Yeah.
you know, if they're passionate about anything, you know, just to be passionate about something can lead you to get arrested or spied on and all those things. So, you know, I can understand why some people are nervous. I mean, this is my job to speak up, but some people just say, well, I'm just going to keep quiet, put my head down and just go on.
Mm. When you say it's your job, you know, it's great what you do. I actually really inspire what you do. But has it got easier for you to speak out because you're becoming well? Do you know what I mean? You're quite well known, or is it actually still as hard as it was?
No, it's still as hard as it was.
Okay.
Because, yes, I mean, I do appear on a lot of mainstream media, you know, but they have me for limited subjects,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm aware of that. And sometimes when I say things, sometimes I'll say something and then I'll come home and see the version that went out and I think, oh, they've cut out that bit,
Okay.
you know. So, you know, I said to you earlier, I spend a lot of time in China. One of the things that the Chinese will always say if you talk to them about their censorship, and they have a lot of censorship, they'll say, name a country with no censorship.
Yeah.
And they're very articulate about the censorship that we have here that a lot of people are not aware of, or at least how we're being watched and recorded and monitored. You know, and some Chinese people know more about that than we do here in Britain, and we're living under it. So, you know, it's when I say it's my job, it's more like my duty. But I do realise that it's limited, and sometimes, you know, I have some good publishers, but sometimes when I really want to do my militant stuff, I go to a revolutionary anarchist publisher called AK Press in Scotland. You know? Sometimes I feel like nobody's picking something up, then I just publish it on my website. You know? Everybody talk about the Windrush generation now.
Yeah.
But how many people know about the Chagos Island people? Now, this is the people, this is black people in the Indian Ocean. In the 60s, the British government took them all off the island.
Yeah.
So the Americans could have a base there. And some of those people to this day don't have citizenship here. Some of those people are kind of still refugees, so long afterwards, and their children. So, but you know, most people don't know about that.
Yeah.
So every now and again I write about it, sometimes in the Voice newspaper, sometimes on my website. I mean, this is as bad as the Windrush, if not worse. But there's not so many of them. So they get away with it, you know.
Yeah.
But you don't hear about that in the mainstream media, unfortunately.
So, as we're on the topic at the moment, why do you think the Windrush topic has come about now?
Because we had the Commonwealth Games,
Yeah.
we had the Commonwealth meeting, and you had people, especially the British establishment, going, look at, we're all equal. All the Commonwealth, look at us playing sport and everything.
Yeah.
Well, you know, okay, this is a very personal thing. We had slavery,
Yeah.
and after slavery, the British wanted to keep their faith, so they had the Empire.
Mm.
And after the Empire, they wanted to keep their faith, so they had the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
There's one thing I can guarantee you about the Commonwealth, is that the wealth is not common in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You can actually look at the Commonwealth Games and see the countries that win are the countries that are richer with more facilities.
Yeah.
It literally goes right down to the poorest countries.
Mm.
And the poor, of course, you know, a lot of African disabled athletes don't even have wheelchairs. You know, they have to come here and borrow wheelchairs to do the sport. So, but more importantly, we don't kind of have equal political status. So what happened the other day was 12 heads of Commonwealth states got together
Yeah.
and said to Theresa May, can we talk about this? And she went, no.
Mm.
And that's what got them angry. So the High Commissioner of Barbados,
Yeah.
he got angry about it and talked to the press about it, and then it got bigger and bigger.
Okay.
But the Voice newspaper have been writing about this for years.
Yeah.
The Guardian, since about October, have been writing about it consistently, almost every week. And there's a journalist called Simon Israel, who works for Channel 4, to his credit, he's been writing and making programs about it, small news pieces. But apart from that, everybody else was ignoring it. But it was this Commonwealth meeting when they were saying we were all equal.
Yeah.
We said, we're not. You know, you still control us and you still deny some of us citizenship.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think on that note, I want to play another one of your tracks.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I bet you can guess which one, right?
I have no idea.
What?
Revolutionary.
The president of